two questions for you tonight. The first question is, why are you here? And the second question is, do you know what you stand for? All of you by now have earned your degrees. But why? What does that piece of paper mean, and what is it really good for? Some of you may believe that it is a permit to serve yourself. You have punched your ticket, and now it is a time to cash it in. But I would beg to disagree. I believe what you have just given yourself is an obligation to serve others. You see, everything we do in life is really about serving people. It doesn't make any difference what job you have or what industry you work in. There is only one reason for being, and that is serving others. The widget maker who makes a widget that goes into a printing press, and a printing company buys the printing press and makes magazines or newspapers that get delivered to somebody's house to inform or entertain them. They're serving a human being. The financial advisor who helps people find a path to independence. The marketer who is about informing people about things that make their lives better. All of those are in the service to others. So I'd like to tell you two stories tonight about two Jims. One is Little Jim and one is Big Jim. Little Jim was a store manager at Starbucks many years ago, over 25 years ago. And he worked up in the Broadway district at one of the very first Starbucks stores. And one day, Jim gave me a call. I was early at Starbucks, and I'd been there about 2 months, and he gave me a call, and he said, I'd like to come see you and Howard Schultz. Well, being, wanting to be a good executive, I thought maybe I can deal with this and not have to bother Howard, but he insisted that he wanted to see Howard as well, and he'd been a long-time acquaintance of Howard Schultz. And so I set the day up for the meeting, and Jim shows up, and we will go into Howard's office, and we sit down in a couple of chairs, and Howard's sitting across from us, and we're making small talk, and I'm kind of an A-type personality, so I want to get on with it. And so I said to Jim, Jim, so what can we do for you? I was sorry that I asked that question. Because Jim looked at Howard Schultz, and he looked at me, and he said, I have to tell you that I am dying of AIDS. Jim was the first person that I had ever met that had AIDS. And this was early on. This was 25 years ago. This was early on. It's when we didn't know that much about AIDS. And as he's talking, I'm kind of embarrassed to say, but I thought about sliding over a little bit because I didn't know what that meant. Of course, now we all know different. So Jim started talking, and he said, Howard said, well, what can we do for you? And Jim said, well, I'd like to work as long as I can work, and when I can't, I'll let you know. And Howard said, of course you can, Jim. Now, I want you to keep in mind, again, we didn't know much about AIDS, and we were in the food service business. But here was Howard saying to Jim, you can work as long as you want. And then Howard asked him a question. He said, Jim, what are you going to do when you can't work? How are you going to support yourself? And Jim said, well, there are a lot of agencies that are starting up now to help people with AIDS, and they've offered to give me some help. And Howard looked at him, he said, Jim, absolutely not. You're part of our family. We will give you a monthly stipend as long as you live. And that will just go on until you pass away. And then Howard asked him, Jim, what are you going to do about your health care costs? And Jim said, well, again, there are agencies that are doing it, and a lot of the hospitals now are helping us. And so Howard said to him, Jim, you will be on our health care system until you pass away. And so Jim was. He got paid until he died, and he was on our health care system until he passed away. Now, I want you to think about what kind of message that sent to me, a new employee, a new partner at Starbucks. What kind of message that sent to the company that we all worked at. It was a message that I took the rest of my time at Starbucks, that I could do anything that was needed to serve somebody that was working at Starbucks, no matter what it was. Whether it cost us money or not, I was empowered to do it, and so are the rest of the people at Starbucks. A pretty powerful message that's lasted to this day. Big Jim. Big Jim was an ex-pro football player that had retired, and he was living in a nursing home across from one of our stores down in Southern California. And every day, Jim would come into our store, and he would order a small cup of coffee, a small drip, or a short drip, we called it, and a blueberry muffin. And This went on for about 2 years. Every day, Jim coming into the store, ordering the short drip and a blueberry muffin. And, you know, every day the people would write something on the bag or on the cup back to Jim. Jim, we love you, or Jim, the Steelers suck, you know. something to get the conversation going. And of course, Jim loved the banter, and so that's why he came in every day. He built relationships with the baristas and the store managers. He wasn't a customer, he was a human being. And he saw the people behind the counter not as servers, but as human beings, and they saw him in the same way. So one day, Jim goes 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, no Jim. They had the muffin put away, and one of the baristas said, hey, I'm going to take the cup of coffee and the muffin over to Jim. Maybe he's sick. So he walked through the front door of the nursing home, and he went up to the counter, and here was a woman sitting there, and he said, hey, where's Jim today? You know, he didn't come over, and I know he always likes his blueberry muffin and his short drip coffee. And she looked at him, and a tear came down her face, and she said, Jim passed away last night in his sleep. So the barista went back to the store, and he told all the other baristas and the store manager what had happened, and of course they were very sad. It was tough losing a friend. The next day, one of Jim's children came into the store and got the store manager and started talking to the store manager and said to him, you know, Jim loved you guys. It would be wonderful if everybody in the store could come to Jim's funeral. It's tomorrow, and it's not very far from here, so it won't take you much time. And the store manager said, without blinking, just said, absolutely, we will all be there. And he figured out how to get the people to cover the store and a manager to be there. And the next day, they showed up at the home where the service was. And as they walked through the door, here were 2 huge round tables laid out. And what do you think were on those tables? Every single cup and every single bag with all the notes that had been written to Jim over the past 2 years. What an amazing thing to see. You know, it's the little things in life that we do that really count. Who would have ever thought that those little notes would have meant so much to somebody like Jim? But, you know, in life, that's the way it is. And that's what we're here to do. You know, it's the little things in life and the journey of serving others, the kindness, caring, and love. Yes, even love in the business world. A word and an action that we need to do more of, that we need to start using more. You know, sometimes business people forget that it's about love and caring, and business is about love and caring. So I hope at the end of the day that you can see that piece of paper in your hands as what it really is, that it is an obligation to serve others. And that you will always remember why you are here and what you stand for, to serve people. Congratulations to all of you, and my best wishes for a wonderful graduation and a great life. Thank you.